Hello everyone! The clip you're about to hear is from one of our exclusive Patreon episodes on a recent horror release, and just like all of our other episodes, it might include major spoilers for said horror release, so don't listen to it if you haven't already seen it. You've officially been warned. And if you'd like to hear the full episode, just head on over to patreon.com/horrorqueers and subscribe today. Without further ado, here is your exclusive Patreon clip.
Oh, yes, here we go. I'm determined not to come down hard on this because I actually don't mind it, but also I'll get it out of the way right off the top. This is an inconsequential film that no one will be talking about in about a month's time.
That's about how I feel as well. I like it, but it's like a 3 out of 5 where I'm like, oh yeah, like if you asked me like, oh, should I watch this? I would say, yeah, sure, but it's like a little pop boiler, right? It's the equivalent of a page turner to me where I'm like, oh, like it's really like it's fun to watch when I'm watching it, but nothing really sticks here.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I feel about both this one and the OG, The Murder on the Orient Express. They're obviously well constructed. Like Kenneth Branagh does know how to make a movie. They look good, but at the end of the day, yeah, they're almost like trifles. You forget them as soon as you're done watching, and then if people say, oh, should I watch it? You think, how big of a fan are you? How interested are you? Like, I'm not telling anyone rush out to the theaters to watch this.
Well, that's kind of the thing, right? And admittedly, I don't have a lot of experience with Agatha Christie, and especially her adaptations. Like, I haven't seen the original film versions of this or Murder on the Orient Express, and I haven't seen any of those, like, BBC miniseries, like Poirot or whatever, where they do adapt to these stories. But this feels like a TV movie, and I don't mean that as a knock, like, as a criticism. It's just like,
it's a bit of a knock.
It just in the sense that, like, a lot of famous people, it is very splashy. Like, Kenneth Branagh is very much about extravagance here and in the original film, though. I would argue that the setting of this gives him more room to have fun with the setting, whereas Orient Express was a little, well, because the train in Orient Express was a little drab, in my opinion. But
yeah, it looked good, but it didn't give them much to do.
Right, and I did like that movie, and I know you don't, but not just like you've always talked about it very negatively, and it's one of those things where I get not liking it, but like you seem to really hate it, and I'm curious as to why.
So it's a couple of reasons, and I'll circle back to my experiences with Agatha Christie. So I grew up watching a lot of British television because that's my mom's like favorite outlet. She watches a ton of UK TV. So I watched a lot of PBS's Mystery, which has done multiple sequences of Agatha Christie, Poirot, and so on. So I grew up watching David Suchet in this role. And let's just say that Kenneth Branagh does it very differently, and it's very hard for me to get on board with what Kenneth Branagh is doing with the character. I don't like his interpretation, and I hate the fucking accent.
That is really interesting. So, okay, that may help me help explain it to me a little bit. Unfortunately, my introduction to Poirot was his Murder on the Orient Express, so I've never seen this character before. I mean, I've heard of him, obviously, and I know he's a regular player in a lot of Christie's novels, but I have no experience with this character. So maybe that's why I'm less fists up walking into Murder on the Orient Express.
No, I very much recognize that it's a personal thing. So in addition to struggling with everything that Branagh was doing with this specific character, I just found that the first film had a lot of bloat. It felt like it was relying very heavily on its all-star cast and its visual. Like the train looks like $1 million, and that's great. But then it goes on for more than 2 hours. So I just find it very tiresome. Like, I love a good murder mystery, but watching that, I just kept thinking, you got all these people and they're giving okay performances, but nothing, this should be so much more exciting. And then when I watched Knives Out a couple of years later, I realized that's what I was really looking for. Like that kind of flourish, that kind of excitement. I find that Kenneth Branagh delivers a very stoic, kind of safe adaptation, and that shouldn't be the case. This should be exciting. We should be trying to figure out who this murderer is. And I will say, I think Death on the Nile is a worse mystery because it's really obvious who the killers are. Spoiler.
Yeah.
But I think it's actually a bit more of an enjoyable film to watch.
Atlas Avenue, a long stretch of road that encompasses everything the city of Kenneth Heights has to offer. Neon lights, traffic, crime, the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and the craziest of characters. My office was above it all. My name is James Locke, and I'm a PI.
Hello, Mr. J. How the hell you doing today?
Good, Edith. Nearly every year I have a new case. New people to meet, new clues to discover, and new problems to solve. But I do it the old-fashioned way. No technology. Nothing post-1950. Hell, I don't even listen to podcasts, but you should. Atlas Avenue Beat is a spoof of the film noir genre with goofy characters, tons of wordplay, and non-stop raunchy humor. There's also 3 whole seasons out right now with more on the way. Just search for Atlas Avenue Beat wherever you listen to podcasts or visit us online at bloody.fm.
Hello, I'm Shelby Scott, the host of Scare You to Sleep, a podcast where I tell you spooky bedtime stories full of creepy sound effects and music that is soothing yet unsettling to help immerse you into a world of horror. This is a show for those of us who have realized horror can be a strange but relaxing escape from reality. Speaking of escapes, sometimes I lead you through guided nightmares, like a guided meditation, but instead of flowery meadows, I take you on a journey through your own personal nightmare. So come get lost in the terror with me. Listen to Scare You to Sleep wherever you listen to podcasts, or find us online at bloody.fm. Sweet screams.